Christmas morning birding. Early on Christmas morning, I went birding to Danger Point, which is one of my favorite destinations. It is a rocky shoreline on the coast of South Africa near the small village of causeway. It gives you easy access to shorebirds and water birds and is great for filming. Hello, I'm Richard Masson and welcome to my birding channel. My main objective for the morning was to film the African Black Oystercatchers and to check on their breeding progress. The first pair on the main causeway, which I had photographed on 10th December, were still there now with slightly larger chicks. One of the eggs in the nest in the middle of the causeway has hatched. You can see the baby trying to peep out from the mother's protective wings. There is still one egg in this nest, which I hope is viable and will hatch. I could not locate the third nest on the main causeway, nor the two nests in the next small bay. There was a neap tide in the previous few days, and these nests were in the kelp debris at the top of the beach and may have been affected by the neap tide. However, there is lots of evidence of breeding birds. There were groups of birds on both beaches that were undergoing their mating rituals. Pairs were calling to one another, running up and down the beach with the other oystercatchers spectating. January is one of their main breeding months, and hopefully these oystercatchers will breed successfully this year. Ruddy turnstones are summer migrants, and we get about 50 each year at Danger Point. Some do overwinter, so there are birds that you can see all year round. It is always a pleasure to have these birds here, and it is easy to see why they are called turnstones, because as you watch them, they do turn over rocks, debris, kelp and the like, looking for their prey. This sandwich tern was the only tern present today. We normally also have common and greater crested terns, but perhaps the high tide was keeping them away. I spent a lot of time with the first oystercatcher pair on the beach, watching them feeding. This time they did not appear to feed on mussels and limpets, and the mother bird was digging in the sand and finding invertebrates, and you can see the chicks grabbing these. Oystercatchers were once endangered and were listed as near threatened. The spread of Mediterranean mussels around the South African coast has provided them with new food sources, and they appear now to be thriving. However, on this morning there was no evidence of them eating mussels at all. Wimbrels are another summer migrant, arriving in our shores in about October. They are normally found singly along our shore, and you get about 5 or 6 at Danger Point. So this white-fronted hover appeared always to be reverse. My daughter said it was because it was preparing to go to the toilet. As you can see, that's what it did there. The plovers appear to have completed their breeding for the season, and that first one was about the youngest bird of the many that I saw on the shores. This is a common ring plover. We only get a few of them at Danger Point every year. Barn swallows are another summer migrant. They were once called European swallows. They arrive at Danger Point in great numbers each year. As far as I could see, they were feeding on the sand fleas, which you can see are abundant in the kelp. The birds were landing on this one stalk, which I was able to focus on and get some good slow motion footage. The oystercatcher chicks can be quite independent, and you can see from this footage that this bird is feeding by itself, grooming itself, and bathing itself without any parent nearby. However, when mom's around, they seem to rely on her for their food. Egyptian geese are very photogenic and appear in many of my films. They are at home in seawater as well as fresh water. You can see these three babies were being buffeted slightly by the small swells coming in from the sea, but they do survive happily at the coast. This footage was shot over about 2 hours, 1 hour on either side of high tide, and it does illustrate why Danger Point is considered such an attractive birding destination. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider pressing the like button and subscribing. Thank you. Tjorho.